Welcome to this July issue of the Ada newsletter. Summer is here, and Ada is on fire. Coinciding with the arrival of summer, this edition brings a hot selection of news, views, and interviews for your reading pleasure. An in-depth interview with Dr. Ellen Adams, ADA trustee, exploring Tudor portraits with prompt genius and ARXAI, a pilot at the National Portrait Gallery. We would like to thank Sonali Rai of RNIB, who wrote this excellent review. View from the chair, some words from the chair of Ada, Edward Copisaro. An overview of the Swiss ADT project. A few words about Meta's Ray-Ban glasses. Review written by Marie Howarth, updates and notices about Ada activities and groups. Ada Spotlight. In this issue we have an interview with trustee Dr. Ellen Adams, a reader in classical archaeology and liberal arts at King's College and a great advocate of AD. Interviewed by Tim Calvert. Tim's first question is, can you introduce yourself and give some background? Hello, I'm Ellen Adams. I teach classical archaeology at King's College London, where I've been since 2007. My training is in art history and archaeology, and my research has expanded into museum studies. I come to museum audio description, AD, from a visual studies perspective and a personal interest in museum access. I'm severely deaf and have learned British Sign Language, BSL. On the BSL side, I'm drawn to how a visual language is used to talk about visual culture. AD fascinates me because it intersects with an academic concept called ekphrasis, the verbal description of the visual, both literally and in terms of art's emotional impact. On the one hand, you have the museum practice of AD, on the other, centuries of art history, which has largely ignored AD. I saw an opportunity to bridge the two. I believe access isn't about charity and that participants should have agency wherever possible. Museums are increasingly exploring creative AD, for example, combining it with music or participatory co-creation, making this area uniquely rich and exciting, even if hard to define. There's growing evidence that AD in museums can benefit all visitors, not just blind and partially sighted people, so there's more scope for integration than you may get in other areas such as theatre AD. How did you move from a traditional archaeological area into AD and access? I'm congenitally deaf, but only started learning BSL 15 years ago. To practice, I attended BSL-led museum tours. Even when my BSL was basic, I could tell it offered a more immediate, visual, spatial, and embodied way of describing art than English. English is linear. You express one word at a time, whereas in BSL, you can layer meanings simultaneously, which mirrors how we experience visual art. Around the same time, I became interested in AD, which academics weren't really engaging with. There are a lot of traditional disciplines like art history and archaeology which can learn from AD, and blind and partially sighted audiences, how they see differently. That shift in perspective is powerful. I actually started as a Minoan archaeologist digging Bronze Age sites, and while this is a big departure, that foundation helps me link traditional disciplines and applied work. What's the most important aspect of AD and access work for you? I'm deeply committed to the principle of nothing about us without us. In the BSL world, museum tours are increasingly deaf-led rather than interpreted, which gives agency to deaf people. I'd like to see the same with AD. Co-created scripts that include the perspectives of blind and partially sighted people. That's already beginning to happen. We need to move away from the old deficit model, where access is framed as helping people catch up to a normal experience. People with sensory impairments engage with the world differently, not less meaningfully. A lot of my research delves into how our brains process sensory information, and adding sensory diversity into that is intellectually thrilling. At heart, I'm motivated by curiosity and a drive to show that people with impaired senses, and I don't mind the word impaired, are contributors, not just recipients. The fact that this hasn't been explored enough in academia says a lot. How did your work with Ada begin? Last summer, someone familiar with my museum access work introduced me to Edward, Ada's chair. He invited me to lead a curriculum working group on museum AD training, which dovetailed perfectly with my existing interests, both practical and theoretical. The original idea was to create a curriculum similar to the theatre AD model. We set up a working group with describers, blind and partially sighted people, and museum access professionals. But early focus groups revealed a key issue: time. Museum access staff are overstretched. One person we spoke to oversees 50 museums on a part-time basis. So now we're thinking more realistically. What support can Ada offer that fits the sector's limitations, while still raising the quality of museum AD? For example, one route is to spotlight existing museum AD training programs and encourage uptake. The working group feels that Ada's role isn't just to push for people to do more, which may not be realistic, but to listen, respond to what's already happening, and offer meaningful support. What innovations or improvements have you seen in Museum AD, and what would you like to see next? The rise of AI is huge, and a bit terrifying. Free apps are now able to provide basic image descriptions that meet legal requirements under the Equality Act. For some museums, that might be enough, but for me, it misses the point. Technology can't replace the human engagement, the tactile experiences, or the emotional responses art can provoke. There are two exciting paths forward. First, we could train visual artists and curators in AD. They already think deeply about visual culture and could bring incredible insight, but would need structured training in visual awareness and inclusive communication. Second, we should further explore co-creation, not just involving visually impaired people in reviewing AD, but supporting them to actively shape it. That process benefits everyone. It makes us all seem more attentive. And it reinforces the idea that AD isn't just for compliance. It's a creative, interpretive act. There's so much imaginative work happening already. AD combined with music or written collaboratively with audiences. I'd love to see this creativity continue. Rather than narrowing our focus too early, let's allow space for play, experimentation, and human connection. Exploring Tudor portraits with Prompt Genius and ARXAI, a pilot at the National Portrait Gallery. In May 2025, RNIB, ARXAI and the National Portrait Gallery partnered to pilot a new way for blind and partially sighted visitors to engage with visual art, one that puts the visitor in full control. The trial introduced Prompt Genius, a smartphone app that offers personalized AI-generated audio descriptions of artworks based on curated prompts provided by the museum, and tested its integration with the hands-free ARXAI wearable, a new approach to interpretation. Unlike traditional audio guides that deliver a linear experience, Prompt Genius invites users to explore artworks through a diverse set of lenses: historical, emotional, artistic, or imaginative. The prompts, carefully crafted by curators, help surface different perspectives on each painting. But crucially, it's the user who chooses what to ask, when to ask it, and how to go deeper. Whether using the app on its own or with the ARXAI headset, visitors can browse prompts such as describe the painting and imagine what this person would tell me if they could speak, snap a photo, and receive a vivid, natural language description that brings the sitter to life. The role of the wearable. To create a seamless hands-free experience, the Prompt Genius app was paired with the ARXAI headset, a lightweight device with a front-facing camera and bone conduction audio. This allowed users to explore the gallery more naturally, without needing to hold a phone or wear headphones that block ambient sound. While the ARXAI headset enhanced accessibility and convenience, the heart of the experience remained the Prompt Genius app, a curiosity-driven, user-led companion that transforms each interaction into a personalized micro-conversation about the artwork. Visitor feedback. The pilot focused on the gallery's Tudor collection and was tested by a group of blind and partially sighted visitors. Their response was enthusiastic. It felt really freeing not to have to wait for someone to guide me. I could look where I wanted when I wanted. I didn't expect the descriptions to be so vivid. The detail about the clothes and posture really helped me picture the sitter. Participants evaluated everything from content clarity to ease of use and physical comfort. While a few mentioned the headset felt slightly heavy after extended wear, the ability to control their own experience was a consistent highlight. As one participant noted, "There's so much detail now that you wouldn't notice without Prompt Genius and the headset. I have never experienced art in so much depth." Shaping the future of inclusive exploration. This pilot forms part of RNIB's broader initiative to support immersive and inclusive technologies in museums and galleries. By enabling real-time, curiosity-driven and personalized audio tours, Prompt Genius and ARXAI offer a new model of access, one that empowers independent exploration without replacing the richness of human-led interpretation. We're looking forward to working with other museums interested in trialling this technology or co-creating a prompt collection. Further information is available from broadcasting at rnib.org.uk. Charles Leclerc, CEO, ARX, Belinda Scully, National Portrait Gallery, and Sonali Rai, RNIB. Message from our chair, Edward Copisaro. Ada has grown like Topsy over the last couple of years, and we now have over 230 members, including more than 80 visually impaired people who use AD. We have more potential now than at any point in our 26-year history to influence the standards of AD. In the last 18 months, your executive committee has made massive strides. This is our 6th quarterly newsletter, and monthly Zoom sessions, which started with Ros Chalmers' AD Soups, and Tim Calvert's Skill Set series, have now been expanded with Yusuf Osman's User Perspective sessions. This September, we'll be adding our International Forum for discussion of worldwide issues. At the same time, a huge amount of work has gone into future training, which is the key to improving standards. 3 working groups for live performance, for screen, for museums, galleries and heritage sites have been developing offers in their respective areas. Ros Chalmers, Anne Hornsby and Mo Pickering-Symes reviewed our old live performance training course and produced an up-to-date curriculum, which includes touch tours for the first time. Ros piloted the agreed curriculum at the Orange Tree Theatre, which specified for the first time that the describer assessor and the VI assessor need to be independent of the trainer. The National Theatre is now committed to using our curriculum for its next cohort of trainees, and Vocalize has indicated it will adopt our curriculum and assessment procedures. This is great news indeed. The Screen AD Working Group, led by Veronika Hyks and Andrew Piper, secured approval from our exec at our April meeting for their proposed curriculum and assessment criteria. They have collated many hours of interviews with VI users of screen description, detailing their views on what is and is not good AD. And these will feature prominently in a free-to-use online training course. We are now working to raise the funds for its production. Ellen Adams and her team, drawn from both within ADA and senior access officers from leading museums, have secured funding from King's College London to run focus groups to help identify the latest demand for training in the heritage sector and to categorise the differing needs of full-time professionals, part-timers and volunteers. All of this is of course brilliant, but you need to know that no one on the executive board gets paid for doing any of this. It is all voluntary work to help build a stronger ADA and so raise the standards of AD. Even some of the trainers for the skill sets have waived their modest fees, being simply happy to help. Others have put in a huge amount of work, often invisibly. Administering the membership renewals does not just happen, and Trish Hodson, our membership secretary, welcomes new members, liaises with existing ones, and helps with general inquiries. She sends out emails about upcoming skill set and soup sessions, including the post-event resources, and helps the ADA secretary with website issues and proofing from time to time. Along with everything else he does, Paul Downs has been responsible for our social media postings and uploading the resources onto the website. Tim Calvert nobly takes care of most of the rest, sourcing speakers, hosting and recording both the soups and skill set sessions, which is so valuable to our membership. These are then uploaded to be accessed on catch-up. To compile the ADA newsletter, Cara Edney and her comms team need to think of content, invite people to write it, and bring it all together with a recorded version available to our VI members, facilitating our quarterly exec meetings and the annual general meeting, preparing our accounts, submitting our annual returns to the Charity Commission, and dealing with the website has required steady effort from Paul Downs, our Honorary Secretary, Andrew Piper and Enrico Martinez, our outgoing and incoming Honorary Treasurers, and Oscar White, our youngest and most tech-savvy trustee, who holds down a full-time job at the Royal and Derngate Theatre in Northampton. Realistically, this level of time commitment cannot be sustainable in the long term, unless the workload is shared out between more of our members. Our comms team needs extra help. We want to issue a monthly bulletin which lists all upcoming AD with advance notice of all our online sessions for the month, as well as a reminder of what's available on catch-up from the previous month. After 6 issues, Cara is keen to pass the baton to someone else to drum up the content for the quarterly newsletter. And whilst Paul has got us started with a LinkedIn profile and is looking more widely across social media, we need some of our new members to join the chat to reach the widest possible audience for our work in promoting excellence in audio description. If you would be interested in joining the comms team, please do ping an email to admin@audiodescription.co.uk. Roz and Tim are on the hunt for people willing to take an AD soup or a skills set session. The soups focus on discussing one aspect of audio description for an hour, and the skills set is a 90-minute masterclass lecture format for those wishing to develop their AD skills under the guidance of a highly regarded practitioner. You may be willing to suggest somebody for one of these. You might even be willing to offer yourself, but just as importantly, you might be willing to volunteer to work with Roz or Tim on developing a program for the coming year that will appeal to the interests of all our members. If you think you could help, do please contact Roz at roz.chalmers@gmail.com or Tim at info@audiodescription.co.uk. If you're one of our 80 new VI members who joined this year and would like to get more involved in nominating topics or speakers, or would be interested in speaking at VI user group sessions, do please email Yusuf, vigroup, one word, at audiodescription.co.uk. If you work in Screen AD and would like to get involved in our screen description training offer with Andrew and Veronika, they would be delighted to have your input, especially if you have experience of or connections with people who work in video production. Like many charitable arts organizations, we always need people with financial qualifications and enthusiasm for administration. If you are a qualified accountant or you know someone who is, and who would be willing to help, that could greatly advance our case when we're talking to major funders about support for the activities of our charity. Paul volunteered to be our honorary secretary last year, on the basis of giving us 1 or 2 days a month. Needless to say, he's putting in rather more than that, and would benefit from having a sidekick or two willing to take on the odd admin task, whether it be minuting our 4 executive meetings a year or covering for him in supporting any of our working groups. And as for me, Edward Copisaro, my next push is to lead on fundraising for our work. If you have experience or expertise in raising funds for charitable organizations, whether they be arts or disability related, it would be great to have you on board to help me form a campaign team to see this through. Most importantly, we're keen to keep our trustee board fresh and full of new perspectives, as some of those fantastic people who've driven our rapid progress in the last couple of years step back to join what we now call our outer orbit of former exec members, who are still keen to help where they can, but without the obligation to attend all our meetings and share responsibility for all our decision-making. If you think you have energy to spare and some expertise to bring, I'd be delighted to talk to you over the phone to see whether putting yourself forward for election to our exec at our AGM in September would be right for you and for Ada. A trustee's term of office is just 2 years, so you wouldn't be taking on a life sentence. But if you have something fresh to bring to the table, I hope I've given you a clear enough picture of the kinds of activities that we're undertaking in our drive to achieve the best possible AD world, and I look forward to seeing many of you putting yourselves forward when Paul sends out the call for nominations in August. The Swiss ADT project Multilingual Audio Description, powered by AI, opportunity or overreach? That is Cara Edney's question. As the European Accessibility Act's 2025 deadline looms, countries across Europe are exploring innovative ways to scale up their audio description (AD) services. One of the more intriguing efforts comes from Switzerland, where a research team has developed Swiss ADT, an automated pipeline for translating and localizing audio descriptions into the country's 3 national languages, German, French, Italian, as well as into English. At its core, Swiss ADT combines large language models, LLMs, with aligned datasets of video content and professionally written AD scripts. The aim? To provide more inclusive, multilingual access to media, particularly for countries with high linguistic diversity and limited budgets for traditional AD production. For those of us working in the AD field, the idea raises a mix of cautious optimism and healthy skepticism. On the one hand, the concept holds promise. Quality multilingual AD is expensive and time-consuming to produce. If used carefully, AI-assisted translation tools could help streamline workflows, localize content more efficiently, and even support understaffed AD teams with first-draft scripts. But here's the rub. Swiss ADT, like most AI systems, relies heavily on pre-existing data. While the researchers commendably used professionally written AD scripts as part of their training, questions remain about nuance, tone, and fidelity to the art form. Can an algorithm understand the rhythm of a suspenseful moment? Will it grasp cultural context or emotional subtext? Importantly, the Swiss team acknowledges these limitations. Their system is positioned not as a replacement for human describers, but as a supplementary tool to support them. Human oversight remains central to their model, something our industry knows is non-negotiable when it comes to maintaining quality, ethics, and inclusion. As AI continues to enter the conversation around accessibility, projects like Swiss ADT remind us of both the opportunities and the risks. Automation may help bridge language gaps, but it must never come at the cost of thoughtful, human-led description. What do you think? Should tools like Swiss ADT have a place in your workflow? Could they support your efforts to provide AD in more languages, or would they compromise the creative and ethical standards we value? We'd love to hear your thoughts, experiments, and experiences. Drop us a line or join the conversation in our next members forum. Read more about the Swiss ADT project here, https://arxiv.org/ABS/2411.14967. Meta Ray-Bans, seeing things differently. The Meta glasses are physically like Ray-Bans, with a few additional features that make them smart. They include cameras on the frames, microphones to capture audio, and speakers in the arms. With the inbuilt AI assistant Meta, you can ask it to take photos, record videos, make audio and video calls via WhatsApp and Messenger. You can also do live videos to Meta-owned social media. As the cameras are on the front corner of the glasses, the point of view would be from the wearer's perspective. Being blind, this is a useful function, as some people who cannot see do not feel comfortable using a camera. As long as they're looking in the direction of the object or scene that they're trying to capture, it's made easy. You can capture video or photos either by asking the AI to do so, or by the capture button on the right-hand arm. Photos can be synchronized directly to your camera roll if you choose via the MetaView app. You can also delete them from both your glasses or camera roll in the app. People do know that you're recording or capturing photos, as there is an LED light on the glasses that lights up like a flash when taking a photo, or a steady light during video recording. You can listen to music via several popular streaming platforms directly on the glasses. These must be set up in the MetaView app before first use. You can also use the Bluetooth from your phone. For those who use navigation apps to help us whilst out and about, this works beautifully. I have used Bose frames for a good number of years to accomplish this, and these glasses have replaced those. The sound is clear and loud enough in busy areas. Meta's AI mode. This is fully functioning in beta in North America, and some have got it working out of the box in the UK. But most people are using VPNs, virtual private network, to get the AI tab working here in the UK. This is the route I took, and we'll talk more about when I talk about setup later in this post. It uses its own engine like ChatGPT, but effectively does the same thing. Unlike apps like Be My Eyes AI, which describe the entire photo you have taken, Meta takes a different approach. You point your face towards the object or scene you want describing and say, Meta, look and describe, and it will give you an overview of the image and allow you to ask follow-up questions. For example, what color is a described object? Setup was easy, and I was able to complete setup with no sighted support. To make the AI tab appear, you do need a VPN, virtual private network, that is based in the US. I chose to use Surfshark, which is accessible with VoiceOver and has competitive prices and plans. You do get a free week's trial, and that, for me, swung it. Battery life will, of course, depend on usage levels. If you're taking lots of photos and videos or using the AI a lot, you will see it run down quickly. I was out with mine today for over an hour, with constant use of Soundscape running and a lot of photo and video taking, as well as extensive use of the AI descriptions being used in the supermarket. I had about 61% of battery left when I got home. Is it a game changer for blind and partially sighted people? If you have prescription lenses, they can also be used with these glasses. Any optician should be able to fit them for you. Review written by Marie Howarth, www.lifewithnoeyes.wordpress.com. Edited and reproduced with the permission of Marie and the lovely people at www.vitalk.co.uk. International Steering Group. The Audio Description Association, ADA, has launched the International Forum, IF, a global initiative aimed at fostering collaboration and discussion within the audio description community. The International Forum is designed to connect professionals and end users worldwide, focusing on key topics such as cultural differences, the effects of globalization, and the exchange of best practices. By addressing these themes, the Forum aims to strengthen international ties and encourage active participation. The Forum's primary focus will be on the experiences of those outside the United Kingdom, while still welcoming UK-based ADA members to participate. Meetings will discuss achievements, concerns, and collaborative solutions tailored to the unique needs of international members. One of the key objectives is to reduce feelings of isolation among participants by creating a united global community. The International Forum will operate primarily through online meetings, ensuring accessibility for all participants. These sessions will be led by facilitators and steering group members from non-UK countries, and the programme will be managed by the International Forum Steering Group, IFSG. The Forum plans to hold at least 9 meetings annually, with timings aligned to the local time zones of session leaders. The IFSG will consist of up to 12 ADA members, a majority of whom will be based outside the UK. It aims to reflect the diversity of the global audio description community, by including representatives from countries of varying sizes. The IFSG is tasked with setting the forum's agenda, ensuring accessibility, and supporting collaborative problem-solving. Overall, the ADA International Forum seeks to build stronger connections and foster a collaborative spirit among the global audio description community, addressing real-world challenges while championing inclusivity and shared progress. We will send round the topics under discussion over the next. A date for your diary. ADA 2025 AGM, Tuesday the 23rd of September, 2 p.m. via Zoom, with details to follow. Social media. To follow us on Facebook or LinkedIn, please search Audio Description Association. This newsletter has been read by Veronika Hyks.